Tom is an icon in the Canadian film industry.
He has a singular desire to make films. He really burns for filmmaking with an undiminished fire.
He takes on very difficult, even controversial subjects, but he's fearless about them.
I came from an Alberta family that arrived here in 1905 to start newspapers. For me, there was 3 generations of a newspaper family before I got interested in film. My wonderful professor at the U of A was Lewis Gwynne Thomas, great Western Canadian historian, who really brought Western Canadian history to the fore and realized the importance of our own history, of teaching our own history. And that, for me, was the setup for making movies of our own history. My wife had been working at the Provincial Archives, and she had come upon the Ernest Brown collection of photographs. I thought, you know, all these still photographs, if you storyboarded them, they tell a story. It was nearly like Ernest Brown had been a filmmaker, but there weren't movie cameras at that time.
My canoe lies on the water.
And then I heard Bruce Cockburn's first album, and he performed at the University of Alberta, and I remember going to his concert and going up to him after and saying, "Are you interested in scoring a movie? You know, what if we took some of the songs from your new album and shot movie sequences to them?"
He has been able to make films year in, year out that are about Alberta, about people in Alberta, about prairie events that are important not just to the prairies to the west, but nationally and internationally. This is really telling our story to the world.
He's, you know, really helped us look at the diversity and complexity of our country. Whether it's about a community in the north or another country even, it comes from this very Alberta perspective, and that's so important. Whether it's about our community, it comes from someone in our community.
Absolute bit of silence. Almost.
Over all of 50 films or whatever, it's always been tremendously important to me to live in Edmonton.
And accepting the award for Dale Phillips, Mr. Tom Radford of the NFB.
Dale, I hope you're out there.
Within that home place, there's always been the university, because the university is both focused on who we are and focused on our relationship to the rest of the world. And I think good films do that.
It's been quite natural for him to go into the research of academics there and find in them stories worth telling. In Codebreakers, we were able to work with Anjay Weber, an anthropologist who's working in Lake Baikal with hunter-gatherer remains. And that was sort of the genesis, the starting point for our documentary about the peopling of the Americas that led across the Bering Strait and into North America. It was a great story, and it was right on our doorstep.
This is an example that I usually use. This is a snow sample from our winter sampling.
At the same time, we were working with Dr. David Schindler, who is a freshwater ecologist and who is working on research into pollution in the oil sands. I mean, these stories are right here. They're ripe for the telling, and so I think it never fails to bring to us great film, great stories that we can bring to life on film. And so we keep on going back to the University of Alberta.
What's so critical about Tom is his practice is he's doing what to me is the hardest thing in the world, making documentary film for television. It's not a kind environment for it now.
You can see that there's particulate all in the snow water that we're pouring through.
And the fact that he could continue to make film without once compromising on what he thinks is important, what the important subject is, and what his values are about that is also something we're deeply grateful for.
You know, we're living in a country right now where the CBC, the NFB, all these major national cultural organizations are sort of re-centralizing into Toronto. We fought for years and years and years to break down that kind of centralized way of telling Canada's story. And I guess as long as that fight's going on, I'm going to be making movies.